Today, we'll again cover the weird and interesting origins of 4 English words. Let's see how quickly you can guess each word before it's revealed. We'll start off easy and then get progressively harder. Here we go. Picture this. It's the American Civil War. Tensions are high, battles are raging, and prisoners of war are being held captive. Now, imagine a makeshift prison camp surrounded by a wall to keep the prisoners in check. But here's the twist. To ensure that the prisoners wouldn't attempt to escape, a line was drawn about 20 feet away from the wall. This line marked a boundary that no prisoner could cross. Stepping beyond that line meant risking being shot on sight. So they nicknamed it the deadline, as crossing it almost meant certain death. Now fast forward to the world of journalism in the early 20th century, where the nickname became one word: deadline. They would use the word to describe the strict time limit they had to submit their articles or stories for publication, as missing a deadline meant losing out on a story or being fired. And from journalism, the word would soon find a home in other industries, becoming a commonly used word. But it's not the only word to come out of the Civil War. Not at all. Another of the many words birthed during the war is one inspired by a soldier with a unique hairstyle. This soldier? We'll refer to him by his first name, Ambrose. He's a major general in the Union Army, and he defies norms with a unique choice in grooming. See, his hair connects his hairline to his beard in a bold display, yet he keeps his chin completely bare. Indeed, this peculiar hairstyle will go on to make an indelible mark in fashion history. But in the 19th century, it's almost never been seen. And the general's last name? Burnside. So, when other people started rocking General Burnside's hairdo, they would refer to the style as the Burnside. They would eventually flip this around to be sideburn. The word sideburn showed up in newspapers as early as 1875. Now it's part of the English lexicon. The next origin story begins in 17th century England, amid the Renaissance, a period marked by intellectual advancement and artistic creativity. This era also brought significant changes to the English language. One such change is how the alphabet was recited in schools. See, back then, they included this symbol as a 27th letter, the one that represents the word and it was referred to as such. So, the recitation did not end with students saying W, X, Y, and Z. Instead, they said W, X, Y, Z, and. However, the combination and sounded awkward and confusing. To address this, educators began incorporating the Latin phrase per se, meaning by itself. So, rather than saying W, X, Y, Z, and, students began to say W, X, Y, Z, and per se, and. In other words, and by itself, and. Over the years, the repetitive chanting of and per se and by generations of school children morphed into a single word. And by the early 19th century, this word was recognized as the official name for the and symbol. The word? Ampersand. For this last origin story, we travel to Ireland. The year is 1880, and the legacy of centuries of British colonial rule has resulted in less than 1% of the population owning 95% of the farmable land. Such wealth disparity leads to intense conflict, where Irish tenant farmers grapple with the harsh demands of landlords. This is on the heels of an economic depression and multiple consecutive years of poor harvests. Amidst these economic hardships, a new organization called the Irish Land League is formed to push for rent reduction and a temporary halt to evictions, with the ultimate goal being to transfer ownership of the land to the tenants. But one man serves as an obstacle to change. We'll refer to him as the Captain. He's a prominent British land agent who manages an estate for an absentee landlord. The Land League demands that rent be reduced by 25% nationwide, but the Captain authorizes only a 10% reduction for his tenants and forces eviction for those who can't pay. This infuriates the locals, who devise a novel strategy to punish him. Rather than resorting to violence, the locals simply stop interacting with the Captain. Farmers don't work his fields, merchants don't sell to him, and neighbors turn away. The Captain, despite his authority, finds himself helplessly isolated, an outcast in his place of residence. This subtle rebellion, a collective act of shunning, resonates far beyond the Irish borders, and the Captain's name becomes synonymous with this act of peaceful refusal. His name? Captain Charles Cunningham Boycott. The name boycott is almost immediately adopted in Ireland and various countries to represent this type of civil disobedience. Well, that's it. You just learned about deadline, sideburn, ampersand, and boycott. And now you know their origins. Go tell somebody. And like and subscribe if you enjoy this type of content. Thanks for watching.